Today we're going to pull an espresso shot with social coffee beans, a mazzer grinder, and the Rocket espresso machine. I will try to add as much information as I can along the way into how to get the best quality and the best pull out of your shot. The best advice that anybody can give you is to get good beans. They're the most important thing in espresso making, above the espresso maker and the grinder. Fresh roasted for espresso means they can be used about 3 days after they've been roasted, and they're good for about 3 weeks after that. As you can see here from Social Coffee Company, we have the People's Daily Espresso, and they have the roasted on date there of May 14th. And when they ship them to you, they get there around May, no later than May 20th, often even sooner than that. They cost about the same as any other bean that you could buy at any local grocery store or any local roaster. The good thing with companies like Social Coffee is that they brew their beans in their store as well, so they're very familiar with them, and obviously if you like their cupping, then you can mimic their quality at your home. What I liked about Social Coffee's website, and I'm sure other websites have it, is that they give you their parameters for brewing. They use 20 grams in the portafilter, they use 96 degrees Celsius, and they also give you the volume that you should get in a cup. Not always will the volume be the same. Usually it's 30 seconds or around there and 2 ounces, but for Social they say they get more like 1 3/4 ounce. The other thing about espresso is the blend. Blends have been around for as long as espresso has, and I would suggest that you stick with the blends. Okay, next we're going to talk about the Mazzer Mini ELT doserless grinder. On the side we have the on-off switch. It's got a nice stainless steel bottom, catches the grinds. Stainless steel doser, and then we got 3 functions on top, one for a single, one for a double, and one for manual. I've got the double set for 19 grams. Like I said, with Social Coffee, they give you the parameters that they brew their coffee at, so they want 20 in the portafilter, so I've set it to 19 because this isn't always perfect. And then I'll do manual depending on how the grind is that day to get the last 1.5, 2 grams set up properly. As you can see, there's a counter as well, and that counts 2 for a double and 1 for a single. So that's about what I'm at after 2 months, 2.5 months of owning it. Inside you can see there's just a static piece of metal there that's supposed to help with the clumping, but still I feel that I see often that there's a fair bit of clumping still. I don't really put much faith in that, though. I don't think that clumping's really a big deal. Also, here you see this is only with Mazzer. They have a bit of a scale there. It comes factory set with that grind setting, and as you can see, I'm really not that far off of where the factory setting is. It's really talking about millimeters in the end, and I maybe have 4 millimeters between the 2 different grinds that I have, but every day it changes by a fraction just because of the moisture content and whatnot. When I ordered this, I got the hopper. The nice thing about the hopper is you can get a small one, so it's not taking up too much kitchen. It's got this closer here, so if you do fill it with beans, you can take it off and empty it. I only put in enough beans I need for grinding that morning. That way I can avoid wasting beans that go rancid, and also it's easier to keep the grind consistent because it doesn't capture moisture while sitting in the hopper. I keep all my beans in a airtight container to help preserve the moisture content that they arrived at my house in the mail with. And that's just all with helping keeping the grind the same and the shots that are produced the same, and it works pretty good. Okay, next we have the Rocket R58 dual boiler in polished aluminum. It's got a standard E61 brew head with a 58 mil portafilter. I've always used the double so far. It's got 2 gauges for both boilers. Here's the brew gauge. I have it set to 9.5 for my brewing cycle, which is a little bit higher than normal. And people say that a higher brew pressure can accentuate the bitter and sour flavors, so it's a little bit harder to dial in your shot, but I found it works best for the social coffee brand that I have. On the other side we have the steam boiler, and it's set to about 1.4. I find once you purge it, here I'll do it so you can see, you're going to purge, it's going to drop, and then I turn it off, and I let the coil start to heat up in there because it can dip behind and get you down to about 0.6, 0.7 bars of pressure. So as I see it coming up, then I submerge the steam wand and start brewing, and the element will stay on and keep you at about 1 to 1.1. That's the only downside really to this machine. Even though it's a dual boiler, it's a 15 amp machine, which means that only one boiler can be going at a time. And so if it's going back and forth between your 2 boilers, it may not be able to keep up with the steam. So they do say you can steam and brew at the same time, but I find that I'm just not sure that I'm getting the best quality of shot with the temperature profiles if I'm doing that, so I always do them separately. In the back here we have the water carrier. You can also plumb this machine. Here's George, the espresso junkie. It's a fairly big water carrier, and I always use reverse osmosized water, and then I add about 1/5 of tap water to it just to add some minerals to the water. The Rocket requires that because it has a electric meter in the bottom to tell if the water runs out, so to conserve the boilers in case it does run out of water. If you use just bottled water in there, it won't recognize any water in the system, and therefore it won't work. So I do that for that reason, and also using bottled water is going to reduce the amount of maintenance you have on your machine in terms of calcium buildup.